So I gotta be honest, I have had a hard time figuring out how I want to tackle all of these cheap little amplifiers that have become so popular in our hi-fi community. And look, I get it. The value proposition is incredibly high, and I cannot for the life of me blame anyone for giving these an honest try as opposed to dropping the big bills on what might be a risky purchase. And look, being totally fair and upfront, the overall performance of these amps that I've tried so far certainly isn't bad. As an example, I think that these little fuzzy monoblocks are certainly better than this Z3 that we tried out, and paired with the right preamp, they might actually be better than this Duke A100 as well. And then, well, I've been working out. This is probably 300 pounds, but whatever. Who's counting? If you add in this A70 into the mix, well, now we have even more to chat about. So, I know what you're thinking. Well, Ron, what the heck is the problem then? And with a warm welcome back to New Record Day, there is no problem. Well, technically, there was a problem, but I think I might have solved it a long time ago. So yeah, let's talk about that. So, without wasting another second, I'd like to open this video up with a comment from my last video about the Fozzy V3 and Duke A100. It reads, "Haha, this is the stupidest review I've ever seen since Aaron's review. You people are scarred, but can't be silent either." Now look, I'm not going to turn this into a drama fest, and while I would give this guy a solid A for effort, comments like this don't bother me at all anymore, so I decided to engage. After asking why they felt the review was so stupid, I actually got a pretty reasonable response that outlined everything they felt that I missed in my video. You got your hands on breakthrough technology that allows for creating high power amplifiers for next to nothing. You said practically nothing about this technology. You said nothing about how objective measurements of these devices look, and you didn't make any yourself. You deliberately avoided comparing these amplifiers with more expensive amplifiers to create the impression that they are in a category of their own due to price, and there is no reason to go beyond it. You limited yourself to the stupidest possible comparison of two basically identical amplifiers precisely to avoid a broader and more important comparison. You are facing a revolution, a breakthrough, a technology that will shake and shake the entire audio industry, and some suspect that this is even its end. Ooh. All right. Okay. Fair enough. So, according to this comment, we have this unbelievable technology that apparently is shaking the entire audio industry. Add to that objective data to back it up, and these things, these little amplifiers, these are what all of us have been waiting for. And yet, the old guard, myself included, is clueless, scarred, and refuse to see the light. I mean, look at us fools hanging on to our big and bulky amplifiers, and all for what? Are we refusing to accept change? Maybe it's a conspiracy. Maybe we have no clue what we are talking about, or maybe these cheap little amplifiers are actually better than everything that we have laying around, and we are so full of pride and ego, we just can't bring ourselves to accept it. Or maybe these are the XLS Encores, and for the sake of this example, they could be any speaker on the planet and it wouldn't matter. What is important isn't so much what these speakers are, but instead where they are, which in my listening room, also known as the sound shed, is 9 feet away from the front wall. This room, which was built from the ground up, has been acoustically treated, and it is where I conduct all of my listening tests for reviews and, of course, for my own listening pleasure. This room is 28 feet deep, 18 feet wide, and the ceiling is nearly 11 feet high. Now, before this all sounds like a pretentious opportunity to brag, let me be clear. I take hi-fi very seriously, and it's also my vocation. Even more, there has never been a room that I've been in while doing these videos that wasn't treated, or a room that I didn't do everything in my power to make it sound as good as I possibly could. And here's the thing, folks. You don't need this sound shed or any of these rooms that I've been in to understand where I'm coming from when it comes to these little amplifiers. That's right. This is indeed something that you can do right now. And here's the deal. It's completely free. This picture means a lot to me. The reason that I have hung on to it for so long is this was a moment many years ago that something unexpected happened. Earlier that day I was vacuuming and I decided to clean around my stereo rack and in the process move my speakers away from the walls to make room to get behind them. With the stereo still on and music playing, I sat down at one point and within a matter of seconds heard something that I had been searching for. Instead of two speakers playing music and the entire front wall coming to life, creating a wall of sound, everything that I heard in the song that was playing was set free. And let me tell you, it completely broke my brain. I had a clear and concise localization of all of the instruments, and everything within the soundstage was opened up in the most incredible way. And here is the deal. I had already been an audio enthusiast for many years before this, and yet I knew at this exact moment that everything that I thought I knew about hi-fi was starting over. As years went on and this channel continued to grow, I knew there had to be a way to share this little nugget that I somehow tripped over, and so I did exactly that. While it took some time to formulate a method that anyone can do in any room they are listening in, I created a step-by-step method to achieve what most audiophiles will call Soundstage. While many of you folks have already been around long enough to not only try L.O.T.S, but are still practicing this method today, you already know everything that I'll be saying about these amplifiers and already know exactly why these little things, as good as they are not going to replace a lot of the gear that you have and won't be replacing a lot of the gear that I have anytime soon. Now, if I was the same reviewer I was prior to that day when everything changed, I can assure you, my friends, I probably joined forces with my YouTube colleagues and I would hype the hell out of these amplifiers as if they are the greatest thing or touting them as some kind of game-changing device that will redefine what is needed to get into this hobby, and while you're at it, get off the merry-go-round of buying expensive gear. But, as fate would have it, I learned something that day that I cannot unlearn. Soundstage, or the ability to open up any recording in a way that allows you to hear every single detail about the presentation, is unlocked the second that you pull speakers away from the wall, and with that, as you bear witness to this change in your sonic perception, just like the 293,000 people who have watched the L.O.T.S video, and by far ranking it the highest like to dislike ratio on my channel will tell you, everything you buy from this day forward, whether it's a DAC, whether it's a preamp, power amp, turntable, speaker cable, interconnects, or moon rocks from Sith Audio, everything will either open the stage more or it won't. And despite the low price of any of these amplifiers, despite the evolution of the technology being used, despite the impressive data that's been collected by measurements, despite the incredible power capabilities or anything else that would lead anyone to think these little amplifiers are indeed the thing that we have all been waiting for and are in fact a revolution in the making, means nothing, and I mean nothing, to me if they are unable to open the soundstage, improve the performance, making it more lifelike and believable, or inspire me to play another track because I've lost my desire to pick apart the gear because the music just sounds so right. So, one might ask, where do we go from here, Ron? I mean, it sounds like it's kind of like I've already made up my mind, and every single one of these reviews moving forward about these amplifiers is going to be negative, and that's that. No, not at all. And it also got me thinking, and here is what I would like to propose. Number one, Sparkos is sending me their discrete op amps to throw into all of these amps, and let's see what happens. Number two, some audiophiles don't care about Soundstage, and they are more interested in listening to things like tone or a linear presentation, so let's not ignore those folks. Number three, I'm still investigating this AEMA A70 that is still in the box, and who knows what that thing actually sounds like. And number four, just think for 1 second just how great it would be if one of these little amplifiers that I have, whether it's trying it with the Sparkos stuff or one that's just laying around or one that is on its way, actually opens up the soundstage and it sounds incredible. What if there really is a diamond in the rough? Well, as far as I'm concerned, then that's going to be an amplifier that I'm going to be excited to talk about. And yes, indeed, there certainly might be a revolution in the making if that ends up being true. So that's where I'm at with this. I know that this was kind of a different style video than what you guys typically would expect. It's certainly not a review, but I had to get this off my chest, and it's been bothering me how I want to tackle this. And I just want to get one more thing out of the way. Any of these reviews that have talked about these amplifiers that have been super excited and super enthusiastic, and they think that it's the greatest thing ever, it might be true. I mean, it might be true given the context of what kind of environment that they're listening in. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be true in my environment with what I've discovered and with what a lot of folks have discovered as soon as Soundstage is truly unlocked. That is when everything changes for a lot of audiophiles, and it becomes incredibly easy to figure out the really good stuff compared to the ordinary stuff. So, with that, make sure you check out L.O.T.S, and I will see you cheap and cheerful audiophiles in the next video.